We are now live. Hey babies, what's going on? There we go. Right. So today we are interviewing such an amazing person. We're just going to wait for her to swing on in. So this is kind of like dead time. You know when you're doing kind of like live and you're interviewing someone, you just got to talk random stuff. So how's your day going, everybody? I hope it's good. Today I'm interviewing the amazing Sabrina Ben Salmi, who is ranked number 2 most inspirational black woman in the entire UK. I would love to see number 1 because this person is absolutely amazing. I'm just going to wait for her to swing on in. Hey Dale, what's good? Hey Callan, how are you? Just going to be waiting. Oh, there she is. The child consultant. You must follow her, everybody, seriously. Oh, Mom. Hey, Mom. Don't follow Mom. You're not allowed to follow my Mom. Only me. She will block you. She will not accept that. I'm going to give my Mom a little bit of a wave. Mom, we're speaking about inspirational mums, so I'm glad you've popped on. See what I did there? Where is she? Where is Sabrina? We're just going to wait for Sabrina to swing on in. Mikey Boy's on. Mike Thomas, I tell you what. He is smashing the gym recently. One absolute legend. Megan, the boss, my boss, who tells me what to do. Hey, how are you? Guys, we're just waiting. You know when you're doing Instagram Live and you're just kind of like waiting for that, for the person that you're interviewing to come on. This is kind of like the dead time. The dead time. I'm wearing my jacket indoors as well. What is wrong with me? Come on, it's actually cold though, isn't it? Really, it is actually genuinely cold. And when is a good time to put your heating on? When is a good time to do it? Who's got the heating on at the moment? I don't know if you have or not. I haven't. I'm one of them that just says to people, just put more clothes on. Just put a cardigan on. Eleanor, hey Eleanor, how are you? I'm going to give you a cheeky wave. There you go, you absolute legend. Just waiting for Sabrina. Oh my gosh. Hang about. I hope she's able to join. I really am. Really hopeful. Sabrina, go live. Oh my gosh, it's happening. It's happening. Is it happening? Come on. Hopefully it's working. Oh, here we go!
How are you?
Wait a minute. You hold your horses, young lady, because I need to introduce you. I need to turn you up as well. Let me turn you up. There we go. Okay. So, hey everybody, welcome to another edition of the Young Life Warrior podcast. Today we are joined by an amazing lady, a mum of 5. She had her first child at the age of 20. She is a keynote speaker. She has released a best-selling book, #homeschooling, how we transition from state to homeschooling. And also, she's ranked number 2 best, most inspirational black woman in the entire UK. I would love to see number 1 because I don't see how that can compare to this amazing lady. And also, she's the director of Aqua Blue Games, and she's on a mission to help you future-proof your children. And what better person can I think of than Sabrina Ben Salmi in the house? Yes! What's good?
Oh, nice. Thank you for having me, and thank you for the introduction. You're going to make me laugh. I won't know what to say.
Well, you've got to say something because it's all about you today, girl. So yeah, we've never spoken before, have we? We've messaged, but we've never spoken.
That's actually true. Yeah, it's my son. You've spoken to Trey Sean, if I remember correctly.
Well, that's what the most important question I want to ask you is: why on earth did you have more kids after Trey? He's the worst person in the world. What?
He needed backup.
He needed backup. He's not watching it because he'll kill me for saying that. I'm only joking, by the way. Trey Shaw, T7 is my guy. I love him to absolute smithereens. He's amazing. He's absolutely amazing. So thank you for joining. Hi.
Hi, and thank you for having me. I'm looking forward to our conversation.
Ah, me too. Absolutely. So I've given you a brief introduction, Sabrina, but what would you like to say? How would you introduce yourself, my good lady?
I think you've done a good job, to be honest. So, like you said, I'm a mother of 5. That's my primary, that's my first and foremost. I wear many hats. There's different things we're involved in, but my pride and joy is my children.
I love that. And you know what? I often make the mistake, actually, Sabrina, of saying, "Oh, this is an amazing mom," but I hesitate to think, actually, to go down that road because you're not just a mom. You're a woman. You're a lady. There's more about you than that. I mean, you're an author. You're a keynote speaker. You're an inspiration. So I just wanted to throw that thought pebble your way. But if there's one thing, like through the entirety of your life so far, what are you proud of about you?
About me, I guess I'm proud of not listening to what I was told when I was growing up. So a lot of people do not know that I've got learning disabilities, and it was a huge hindrance when I was going through school. I was very different to my peers, and a couple of teachers, there was two teachers that said to me one day, you're going to transform the lives of many. And I always held on to that because everyone else used to tell me I was a failure. So I'm really proud of myself for finding my own happiness, finding my own path, and just never giving up on myself. And now I can pour into others as a result.
Yeah, and you're so doing that. You're so doing that. But that's crazy, because what gave you the audacity to ignore those words, those projections from other people? Because we know that some people will hold on to that and create thoughts, and therefore create patterns in our brain, and therefore give us limiting beliefs and stop us from existing on this world so powerfully. So what kind of tweaked in your brain to think, you know what, no, I'm not going to listen to you, I'm going to listen to you? What the positive, how did you do that? What happened?
I think the short answer is that it was a process, right? It didn't happen overnight, but I think it makes me laugh because the first thing that jumped to mind was my mum. So my mum is West Indian, and she was quite interested when they told her that, you know, your daughter can't do these things. She was like, can't do it. So she took me home. She goes, yes, you can. And so, you know, I think that inspiration, just having someone saying, you'll be okay, you'll make it through. Like, I struggled to read, and I remember sitting there, but a lot of it was trauma. Like, I was being bullied in my childhood. So it wasn't so much me not being able to read, it was the trauma that was stopping me from just settling and digesting that learning process. And I remember my mum sitting me down, and she got this book. I think it was called The Old School Gang. If mum's watching, I hope I got it right. But she sat down and we read that book back to back. I was really slow reader. And she was like, you can read it, you can. I was like, Mum, I can't. Like, none of these words make sense. And yeah, she never gave up on me. And I think when you love someone so deeply and they believe in you and they haven't given up on you, you don't want to give up on you because they've poured so much.
Oh, that's absolutely beautiful. I love that so much. You can see the passion in your voice when you share. I really hope Mum is watching, because she's going to have such a big head. She won't be able to... So with your mum, I wanted to find out, because there's many children, I'm sure your kids have done this as well, many children that chose to ignore their parents' advice, but then chose in certain parts that actually helped them flourish. What did you, or what was the key, or the biggest thing that you chose to ignore what your mum said to you, which you wish you had, which you wish to absorb? But also in that same thread, I think we've already got it. But what did you choose to hold on to and empower? Or what did you take from your mom?
That's a really interesting question. So I think at different stages it was different things. So it's a really great question, actually. There's a number of things, but I guess relevance for young children. I think when we look at our parents, sometimes our parents see things differently to us. I remember growing up, remember every generation has its own levels of adversity, but every child that's born is born with the essence to actually have the solution for the problems that we see. I think, you know, a lot of adults talk about doom and gloom, but I think every child that's born, they have this, I cannot put it into words, but they have this secret key that unlocks the future. So I remember my mum sort of telling me, you know, get a job, or, you know, get something that's secure, or, you know, and they mean it from the best possible place. Like, they're trying to keep us safe. And, you know, when you're 18, 20, 21, you think you can fly. I was such a rebel. I did everything opposite to my mum, to the extent I was a teenage mum, okay? Don't talk to boys, Sabrina, leave them alone. I was like, that's it, let's go over there, the forbidden fruit. But yeah, I think the interesting thing is, it's a timeless question you've asked, because parents are often right. There's many things that they say is right, and it's about that child interweave in a balance, because I know that a lot of things my mum taught me were beneficial, but there were some things it was just expired because it was a different reality. She came from a different generation to I did. The world had changed, a bit like where we are today. When we were growing up, I had to get like a full-time job, and people stayed in jobs from 20 years, 30 years, 40 years, and you get awards. Now, you don't have that level of stability. Now my children work from home. They have a laptop. They could be anywhere in the world. So it's like me saying to my children, young lady, you go to university and you get a full-time job, which is also an option, but that's what it is. It's an option that not many people from my mum's generation understand, that you can just stay at home on a laptop. So I think it's more like traditional life things I swayed away from, but I guess core values of love, kindness, respect, those sort of things, I took heed of that, and that opened doors for me beyond.
Love and kindness, those values. That's very powerful. Thank you for. I'm glad that was a tough question for you, because you're really stepping out. I wouldn't say stepping out your comfort zone, because I can throw any question at you and smash it back at me, because you're.
I'll get told off by my team. I talk too much.
No way. So just on that same thread, I'm gonna ask a sporadic random question. Actually, I want to shed some light on your kids, because I think they're amazing. I mean, obviously I've got my favourite, but don't tell the rest. Right? But if you're okay to share names, feel free. That'd be wonderful. If you could think of one value that comes to mind when you think of your individual children, you've got 5, so 5 values. Mm-hmm. Which one value could you see in your children?
That's a great question. I've been on many interviews, and no one's ever asked me that, actually. Not that way. I love that.
Oh, not just a pretty face.
So intuition, Lachey,
intuition.
Yeah. Trey Sean.
Oh.
Financial freedom.
I can see.
Yeah. Yasmin, love. Pure love, unconditional love. Oh, Paolo's gonna wring my neck. Yeah, I keep saying he's not the troublesome one, but he's someone that really shifts me around. So Paolo's all about adventure, breaking, going beyond boundaries. Yeah, like real adventure. And Mia, values, goal, principles. Yeah, he's the young man that taught me principles. Why are you doing that, Mom? Remember? That's a great question. Thank you, Dal.
You're welcome. And this has been recorded. It's going to be saved, and I'm definitely going to write them down. I'm not making notes now. I want to stay present with you, and that was absolutely wonderful. I can definitely see that financial freedom in Trey 100%.
He's like, get your life together, Mum.
Oh, that's absolutely amazing. So, another question then. Did you help your children towards that value? I know, by the way, we've got hundreds of values inside of us. I know the main ones, because, I wanted to be respectful of your time. But did you help your children coordinate that, or did you allow them the space to come to that reflection themselves?
Wow. God, you're good. You're giving me goosebumps. Wow. Yeah. So no, my children showed me that, and that was like a massive eye opener for me. I still remember today like it was yesterday. We were sat in Lachey's room, and we sat down. Something was happening. We were all talking about something, and I asked them what their superhero skills was. And they were talking about school and just tapping in and sharing how different they were, and how sometimes certain peer groups will want you to be the same. And then we got into this conversation, like, what's your superhero skills? What's your superhero skills? And they kept on, like, just one by one, just saying, oh, I'm good at doing this. And it was a bit like, the only thing I can equate it to is like Marvels or Adventures, where they had like, spider powers, or, Captain American attributes. And I was just blown away. And it was at that moment that I must say I really came into my parenting. I realized that I wasn't here to parent them and tell them. I realized that when a child is born, it's time to listen and relearn. I realized that we don't teach children. Children really come here to teach and heal us. And there's something very powerful for you, for us mums that are on here listening. Please do some research. Like every time we are pregnant, that young baby, that little baby sends stem cells to every organ that's damaged to actually heal us. So I actually, when I learned these facts, I was like, wow, that's really profound. That's actually a scientific fact that my child heals me. You know, mums, yes, we carry them, but it's a two-way. And I thought, wow. And then if you're really into the energetic side, anyone that's in energy, and you actually look at a similar teaching, they talk about as you birth a child, that child actually embodies a healing process that takes away something and gives you something else as they enter into this world. So children are just something else. And I always say to my children, thank you for your childhood, because it really is a gift. They gift you their childhood. We're just stewards to little spirits that have their own journey and their own desires. And I get blown away every time I take a moment to reflect.
We're just stewards. That was, the way you put that, Sabrina, was so beautiful. No, seriously, that was absolutely amazing. Oh my gosh, because I'm not a parent.
Not yet.
Put it on my to-do list. But I want to get as much information as possible. Selfishly, I'm okay with that. Selfishly, I want to spread the wealth of knowledge as well, and I want to speak to powerful, inspirational people such as yourself. And the way you articulated that was just you froze me.
Oh,
you froze me. Wow, because that is so. I didn't know that about stem cells. They heal the pet. They heal them. That's incredible.
It rendered me speechless. Like when you actually read it, and it's like, wow. I'll try and find a little picture actually when I jump off and send it to you. It is remarkable.
Please do. Oh my gosh, did anyone else know about that? That's listening in the room right now. Did you know that your child sends stem cells around the mum's body to heal?
Yeah.
But even better, not even better than that, because that's pretty incredible, and maybe on a sidestep, is the fact when they are born and they are children, they kind of bring the youth back in the parent, don't they?
Yes.
And that's incredible. That's so beautiful. So you've just kind of stumbled me just.
You've got this, Dale. You're inspiring so much in me. So just keep going.
I definitely will. So one question I did really want to ask is to allow the child that space, because I've been speaking to a few psychiatrists and some child psychologists, and they've come to a conclusion that to parent to the age of 12, to coach to the age of 16, 18, to mentor thereafter, and friendship after that. But what gave you the strength to overcome the fear of letting go, to allow your children to make their own decisions in the areas that they've gone down? Because you've got best-selling authors in your family, you've got investors in your family, you've got troublemakers in your family, and I love this because you know they're
trouble. Otherwise, Paolo's going to be like, "What, Mum?" Yeah. He's so good at making trouble. He's planted 10,000 fruit trees in Tanzania. That's created jobs. So he's a good troublemaker. Otherwise, I'm going to be in his bad books.
No, that's the thing. I think as positive.
Yeah.
Breaking out of the system.
Absolutely.
Amazing. So sorry, let me articulate the question again a bit differently. How did you take a step back? What gave you the courage to step away from the fear of allowing your children to make their own failures or make their own decisions towards their big picture goal or dream?
Brilliant. I didn't wake up like this. Let's just start there, right? I didn't wake up and went, that's it, guys, you go for it. You know, my father's Nigerian, my mother's St. Lucian. I come from a very strict background. I grew up where children were seen and not heard. Not from my mum. My mum would tell me off, like my mum would listen, but it was just like culturally how we were raised. So I think it was decided before motherhood that when I had children, I wanted to hear their voices because my one was taken away so young. And I didn't start speaking until I was about 31, 34. And what I mean by that is that I never made my own decisions. I was pretty much walking around on eggshells, pretty much was a pleaser. And I didn't want my children to be like that. And being a coach, being a mentor, being in the personal development world, I was always presented with people that were dealing with childhood traumas. And I'm like, wait a minute, we get to 30 and we go back and we like, I don't want my children to get to 30 and do what they could have done when they were younger. So I think there was a process there. And you will hear me mention process because I think these things are very contextual. So it's really important that the listeners understand what I am saying and what I'm not saying. So contextually, there's a process within each child. So although I'm a mother of 5, I'm not a mother to 5 cluster children. I had to relearn the process for each child. So I had these to and fro situations where, you know, you could be a new age mom and, you know, the kid can go, okay, well, mum, I don't want to wear pants today and I'm going to go out like that. It's like, okay. So, you know, it was a bit of trial and error. I think that's the best way to say it, because I think one of the things I want to do the more I speak to parents and children and give advice to my younger self is keeping it real. There's no point sharing where I am now. I've been a mother for 21 years, right? I've had time to learn. Like, I got it all wrong with Lachey. I said yes to everything. I had no boundaries. I bought her everything. This child was like 2 feet tall and had everything you can think of. She like had a Jaguar, like a Jeep, and we would buy her things that were just nonsense. But that's what I thought was love. I felt that if I give my child everything and I don't say no to her, that's it. Well, actually, that adds to the damage long term, because if your child only hears yes and they never hear no, you've set them up to fail in life, because life isn't like that. So I think it's a work in progress. And I think the child more so, a bit like the steward, each child will call a different essence of you forward if you're willing to listen. The key is to create space for it. So as a family, we have family meetings. As a family, I apologize to my children if I'm wrong, irrespective of their age. So I think it's creating the space just in case. So when it needs to pop up, the child feels they can discuss, share, you know, kind of question, debate. And I think that's what's really important. I think sometimes when I'm discussing this, I get quite concerned. Like, there is no such thing as a perfect parent. You know, one of the things I said to my children is that it's my imperfection. Please accept it as perfection, because that's all I've got. Okay. But one thing I have got is that I'm willing to listen. I'm willing to grow, because I treat my relationship with my children as so. It's a relationship. I'm not an authoritarian. And if I want to have a relationship with them that's going to last a lifetime, I have to invest in them.
Oh, absolutely. And well, there is one perfect parent. That's my mom.
Yeah.
I always guarantee, if I spoke to your 5 children, they would definitely say the same about what I've just said just now about you, because there's no. I'm sure you're familiar with Dr. Bruce Lipton's work. You know, the imprint phase from 0 to 7. Over 70% of what a child learns in that phase is limiting, negative, and sabotaging. Whoa! So parents are like, oh my god, I've got to be careful. What do I do? What?
Done that.
Yeah, give yourself a break, because like there's no perfect book. I mean there is a perfect book. It's called How to Raise Trey Sean by Sabrina, but it can only be used by one person, you. And that book won't be good for Yasmin or Paolo, would it? It just would not work. It's got to be specific to the child. So the fact that your flexible parenting mindset has actually helped them flourish even more, I reckon, as opposed to like one person approach or one teaching approach, autocratic. No, I love the almost, you know, diplomatic, laissez-faire. Let's be confident, take a step back, even though I don't want them to be hurt, but they have to make their own decisions.
Oh, that's the hardest bit. Yeah, but it's needed. Yeah, that is it. Like that. Like, sorry to cut in there, Dale. Like, I think just as a mums, if you're listening, you'll understand that bit. That bit was the hardest thing for me. I'm not gonna lie. I remember crying my eyes out. I cried every time my child cried, and I was like, "What a sap! Why am I crying? She's coming to me to cry. Why am I crying?" I was the most goofy mother ever. And it was a friend of mine. She said to me, Sabrina, you can't protect your child from the world, but what you can is give her a hug when she falls, hold her hand. I was like, oh my God. So everything you're saying just resonates so deeply. Thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. But I don't want to forget this. I want to give you a bit of a. You just said you had family meetings, which I think is absolutely vital, by the way. Maybe you could play the Skittles game. Have you heard of that? I,
No.
I give because I coach kids and parents, and I give them a game, a homework to do, where they play the Skittles game. So basically, you get a bunch of Skittles, you put them in a bowl, and each Skittle colour matches a certain emotion. So the red Skittle means anger, the yellow one means happy, green is disgust, a bit like Inside Out. So, but you can pick your own emotions to coordinate with your family values and family emotions and what colour means what. You close your eyes, you take a pick, you pick it out and be like, oh, anger one. What made you angry today? Well, this is what made me angry today. I was in the park and a dog didn't pick up their poo. That made me so cross. And then you can deeply, I mean, I know that you can do that, but you can deeply explore that. Maybe you can go a bit more advanced as well for like disappointment or something. So I'm giving you some homework just there, Sabrina.
I love this. You should, although it's called the Skittles game, why don't you bring it out as yours? Because I know you do amazing work with kids. You know, Trey's got his cards. Maybe he can let you know where he sourced those from. That is amazing. I love that. I really do. Thanks for sharing that.
No worries. Well, there's the Love Hearts game as well, but I'm going to have to share that with you when you play the Skittles game, unfortunately.
Oh, looking forward to that. I'm going to hold you to it. I've got video recording.
Oh, as well. I've got a little pug who wants to get some of my attention. Naughty little boy. Yeah, so I think when you were talking about, was it your firstborn, Mariah?
Yes, Lachey.
Right. Lachey. You said that I can imagine there's a lot of parents that kind of want their children to like them, their child to like them. And that can be quite tough, isn't it? By giving them everything. And so you want to be the friend, I want you to like me. But that could be to their detriment, I guess.
Yes, it's interesting. Like every child's different. So for me, because I wasn't raised with a lot of family around, so I grew up quite isolated. So I didn't know how to kind of give me, like I was a young mum. I was only 19 when I fell pregnant and became a mum at 20. So I bought Lachey things as a way of showing love. So I just went overboard. I didn't know how to, I might say, I'm confiscating, I don't know, like they had like little, I don't know what they called, like pod something. They used to play little videos. I don't know what they're called because technology moves on so fast now. So I know we've got the mobile phones, but they had like this iPod thing with a video in. And I'd be like, I'm taking it off of you for 3 days. And an hour later, I'd give it back to her. So I wasn't very good at saying something and sticking to it. But that was doing more damage than good because she would realize that, oh, I don't have to listen. Like, I'll get it back in a minute. And I was like, I was in so much pain thinking, oh, it's bad. But it's as we heal and as we go through and surrender to the process of parenting, and every parent will experience this at a different level. And it might not necessarily be this, but I think as a parent, it's always good to reflect, like, how do I interact with this child versus that child? What does this child trigger in me? And I love that game. I think go ahead and play the game that Dale just mentioned. I think that's awesome. That will really tap into some golden nuggets.
What is it about this triggers me? That's interesting. I can't imagine parents think or have ever thought like that, you know. But it's quite important to bring that to the surface to help have a bit more of a substantial, sustainable relationship in the future.
Yes.
That's cool.
Speaking is a beautiful essence and it's a gift. Like, communication is it can break so much anxiety around assumptions. So communicate, you know, sit down, and especially if you do it as young as possible, they grow up and they'll tell you, believe me, you create the space, they tell you. Wait for it.
Oh, I love that. So you so with children, when you're more inviting to their thoughts and emotions, that's when they can release, because heaven forbid a child should not feel safe to express themselves when they're young, and therefore when they get to the age of 14 or whatever age, and they may do something quite hostile, self-harm, and as opposed to coming out and releasing. So I think it's really important to create that safe space to help them know that I'm not going to judge you for feeling this way. It's normal. Let's talk about it, and if not me, then somebody else.
Yes. I'm so glad you mentioned that. Like you know, you walk your talk, but this is something that's so important. What you've just highlighted is that as parents, we have to accept that, you know, especially as they're growing, you may not always be the one they need to speak to. The more important thing is that they get it off their chest. And it's, you know, it's harder for some, culturally different, you know, different reasons, but it's just understanding that, how can I create this infrastructure? Because after all, it takes a village to raise a child. So if you don't have biological family, create your spiritual village. That's what we had to do. But it's very important that we go through that process, because it is a process. Because sometimes a father may feel that, oh my gosh, you don't like me, or am I not good enough? Why couldn't you come to me? But it wasn't about you. It's just something that they had to, you know, think about how it was when you were young. You weren't, you know, everyone's had a different relationship, but if you really be honest with yourself, there were some things you couldn't tell people that were near and dear to you, just because of your presuppositions of what you may feel, how they might react. So take it as a loving thing, and that we just need a variety of people to speak to. So it's nothing against you. And the same goes for mums. I've spoken to so many mothers that felt bad that their child didn't speak to them about various things. And it's painful, but allow yourself to go through the process.
Mm. Watch out for that ego, I guess, as well. What's more important, feel validated as a parent, or allowing your child a safe person and safe space to release their thoughts to? And I don't like saying this, but unfortunately, parents can become white noise. They say the same thing with the same tonality in the same stage of the day, and it just goes in and out the other for children. So it could be something simple. And I've done this in the past as well, where a father actually said one thing to their child, and I tested it and said exactly the same thing, and they listened to me and not the dad.
Yes, yes.
I had to pre-frame the father and just say, this is probably what's going to happen.
Yeah, good job from preparing him.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. And I'm taking a lot of lessons from this too, because I'm thinking, actually, do you know what? I do what I do, and I've coached over 80,000 kids and parents worldwide. So I expect my child to listen to me.
You wait for that test. Yeah, that's the interesting one, because they'll always come with something. Like I said, they'll always come with a gift.
Yeah.
To grow you.
Well, I'm definitely when I have children, when they get to a certain age, I'm definitely going to get very Sean involved.
I love it.
Wow. Great, sort this one out, please. It's not my fault, it's the mother's.
I'll be on the mum's side.
I bet you will. Okay, again, I want to be for your time. I've had so much fun talking to you, and this has been an absolute highlight of my day. Seriously, it's been amazing. Confidence is my thing. Confidence is my thing. I want to ask you so many questions, but with this one, what advice would you give to a young parent? What confidence advice would you give to a young parent who's kind of just maybe had a baby the child is between the ages of 1 to 3, let's say, because that's like quite a functional zone for children. So, yeah, what confidence advice would you give to
I guess the first thing I would say is, what does confidence mean to you? You know, I've had so many conversations, and, you know, the simplicity is confidence comes with repetition. So confidence is really about the 4 stages of learning. You know, you've got the backing of NLP and how our brain learns. Now, when we talk about confidence, it depends what you understand what confidence is. So we have 4 stages of learning, and half is conscious, half is unconscious. So first time you step into the car for your first driving lesson, if you take yourself back to that moment, you get into this car for the first time, you're like, I don't think it's ever going to happen. I don't know what you were like, because some people are like, yeah, brilliant. I know my son, like my kids have done under 17 driving, they like got in, it was like, whoa, they just went off. But I was petrified. I'm like, why is there so many mirrors? Why, like, what do I do? I was like, I would never be able to understand it. But what actually happens is, when we go through the 4 stages, and what actually happens, we have conscious incompetence, then we have conscious competence, we then have unconscious incompetence and unconscious competence. So there are 4 stages. What happens is that we walk through a door and we go, well, I'm supposed to feel confident straight away. Well, actually, it's a process. Some of us learn it a lot younger. So it's about being kind with ourselves. So to a young mum, I would say, give yourself time. Ask for what you need in terms of support. don't be your worst person that's on your back before, because I think sometimes it's the negative self-talk that is our biggest enemy. Give yourself time. It's a first experience for you. You haven't done this before if you're a first-time mum. And be kind to yourself like you would be to your best friend. And just breathe through, ask questions, because confidence will come, just as I said, as you do things over and over and over again. If I look back to how I was when I first became a mother, 21 years ago, my mum was like, can I have my baby, please? Like, look, hold the baby up now. And now it's an unconscious programming. I can embody a baby and engulf, you know, with love and the confidence to hold a baby. The first time I spoke to a child, or a child had a tantrum in the middle of the street, I'm like, oh my Lord, like, who am I going to phone? She's not moving. But now I know to just, okay, you want to go on the floor and scream? I'll scream beside you. So it's the confidence comes with experiential learning. So don't be so hard on yourself in the first instance.
Oh, I love that so much. I'm so thankful. Oh my gosh, that you said that confidence, your own definition, it's bespoke. It's relative to the individual. My definition of confidence is the opposite of self-consciousness, to be the hero of your own movie. And now I can play that inside my brain every single day. How am I showing up as the hero of my own movie today? And who put a smile on someone's face for?
I love that. I love that. And I tell you something funny, a really quick one. It's really funny. So I had a client came in and said, Sabrina, what can you do with confidence? Like, I've got a presentation tomorrow, and I need to get on the stage and be confident. I said, okay, like, tell me what the problem is. Said, I haven't been confident about anything. And I said, okay, so how confident are you that you're not confident? I'm super confident. See, again, it goes back to, what does confidence mean to you? Sometimes what we have confidence in is something that we don't desire to have the confidence in. How can we repurpose the confidence so it now becomes a powerful tool that brings you closer to your end step? But we're always confident about something. And again, everything's contextual. It was my son, Paolo, said, Mum, context is everything. That's a teaching I got from my child. Because in what context? Because when we talk about confidence, if we be really honest, our confidence isn't low in every aspect of our life. There will be certain aspects in a specific context that we have those challenges. So what are we really talking about?
Gosh, I love that. What a legend saying that. Everything. Absolute legend. That's insane.
Yeah, I was getting a telling off.
They're parenting you.
Yes, but that's the beauty, right? You know, like I said, I'm a steward of this young man. And just to give you a snippet in context of what we were talking about, I'm like a fun bear, want to be friends with everybody. And he said, Mum, you need to have different friend, contextual relationships. And I'm like, huh? Tell me more. So he was just explaining, like, there are certain relationships that overlap into certain aspects of your relationship, but every relationship should have a primary context. What a pep talk. Yeah, I learned.
You got told.
Exactly.
That's amazing. Oh, what a legend. I think I found my new favourite. Don't tell me.
What about your loyalty, Dale? Oh my gosh.
What can I say?
Oh.
Okay, so if you could, I haven't prepared you for this. Last question, and then we're going to find out where people can find you if you want that to happen.
Okay.
Yourself, what one sentence would you like every single person in the whole world to hear that could change the world? What would be your power sentence, Sabrina power sentence?
Sabrina power sentence. It will have to be my anchor quote. My anchor quote is very simple. We are all connected. Do unto others as you desire to be done to you. Love as you desire to be loved. And that's it.
Beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. Oh my gosh. And where can people find you if that's okay?
That's fine. You can do a Google search, Sabrina Ben Salmi. That we're across all social media, me and my children. So the Ben Salmis is a new brand that we're launching just as a family. We're teaching every family to have their own family anthem, to have their own family slogan, you know, something that unifies you as a family. No matter where you are, you can always hum your unique essence. So we're on, you know, Instagram, like here with Dale, Facebook, LinkedIn. If you put my name into Google, you'll be able to find a channel that you can connect up with.
Amazing. And is there anything at all you want to promote right now? Like a book or?
No, there isn't actually. I just want to be in this space. Yeah, I just want to have a nice, heartfelt chat. And as a result of that, people will gravitate to what they need to gravitate towards, and things will percolate and things will happen. I'm just pouring right now, Dale.
Oh, you need to have a conversation with my good friend Susan Stopper. She's all about energy and manifestation and being present. She's a beautiful, beautiful soul. I don't know if she popped on. I'm not sure if she's still here.
Wow.
But you would get on with her like a house on fire, honestly.
Beautiful. Yeah, just keep in touch. Like, if there's people listening, keep in touch, because there's some pretty remarkable things happening, like some education, transformational education that we're creating in the background. Shay's been elected. It's on the Shay Ben Salmi's Instagram. She's working in partnership with Regan Hilly. I know you know Regan as well, don't you, Dale? Yeah, Regan's got a phenomenal school called The Nest. And yeah, they're doing some remarkable things. So keep an eye out on that. They're launching an event that's coming up. That's something I'll share the link with you to give the opportunity to some of the people you work with. But they're really coming at it big. Regan is going to be teaching her magic to these young children to transform their lives with Lachey. So it's going to be powerful.
And it also, one of your, who was it that was hanging out with Grant Cardone?
Oh yeah, Paolo. Yeah, Paolo. Paolo and Sabrina and Scarlett Cardone. I must say, those two girls, they are pretty remarkable. I'm not talking about business. They are so down to earth, so loving and caring. Their parents have done a remarkable job. Like, when I go past the room, and I always say to Paolo, you know, treat your friends as friends, not as their titles, because it must be so hard to be so high profiled and to just have connectivity, just that being there for the right reasons. And I walk past the room sometimes, they're on chatting, they're just kids, right? They might be playing chess together, and I'm just like, wow, what a journey. And that's because of my kids. It's surreal.
That is so surreal. That's absolutely magical. And the fact is that, yes, they're very high profile. Grant Cardone's children, amazing. But the fact of the matter is that your children are having such a warm, present, kidified conversation.
Yes.
Saying,
oh God, but she's high level. My God, when I hear them speak, I was like, oh, because they run, not now, but recently they were doing the Clubhouse. That's where they first met.
Yeah.
Clubhouse rooms together. And when they get set back up, they're doing something in the background, but they'll be out again. But they just get on so well. They bounce off each other. And their mindsets, oh my God, far and beyond. You can imagine like what they're exposed to. But in terms of just being a kid, they're just so golden and lovely, well-mannered, polite. Like I said, you go down to the basics. I'm all about kind people. I've got all day long for kind, loving, caring people.
Oh, that's so special. That is so special. Oh, that's awesome. I can't believe we didn't speak about that. That's kind of a really cool big deal. All these avenues that you're opening just allowing your children to have that space. And I know in part you're doing that for you as well, because you're a fantastic, beautiful soul. And thank you so much for speaking with me today, Sabrina.
Thank you for inviting me. It's been a pleasure. First time speaking to you. It's amazing. I've heard wonderful things about you, and it's all right, what they said on the tin.
Now.
Thank you so much, Dale.
Thank you so much. You're an absolute legend, and hopefully we can hang out in person at some point.
Oh, that would be cool. Yeah, that would be really cool.
Yeah. Thank you for your time, you absolute hero.
Awesome. Take care. Thank you. Bye.